It's great to be in the SEC. Welcome back to a preview episode of the SEC Recap Podcast. We are talking Texas, Oklahoma. That's number 1, Texas, number 18, Oklahoma. The Red River Rivalry showdown. That is a tongue twister, man. It's a tongue twister. Welcome back to the SEC Recap Podcast. While you're here, like, subscribe to the channel. Previewing Texas, Oklahoma. Going to talk through the game, key stats, matchups, and give a prediction here at the end. Grab your game day gear, settle in. Let's get going. First, let's set the scene. The number 1 Texas Longhorns enter this matchup 5-0. They are the only 5-0 team remaining in the SEC, the only undefeated team remaining in the SEC. Riding high, super potent offense, lockdown defense. Sarkisian basically confirming that Quinn Ewers will be back and starting at quarterback, which is great news for everyone, not just Texas fans, but college football fans. On the flip side of that, Oklahoma is 4-1 with just a single loss to Tennessee. They're looking to make a statement. They did escape Auburn narrowly in their last game. They do have some questions to answer still. But remember, in rivalry games, anything can happen, man. Anything can happen. Current line favors Texas by about 14 and a half. My number here, 15. But let's dig a little bit deeper to see how these teams stack up. And we'll start with the offense. Texas's offense. Longhorns averaging an impressive 45 points per game. That's 7th nationally, racking up about 513 yards per game, 322.2 passing yards, and 191 rushing yards on average. And that's an offense that is clicking on all cylinders. Quinn Ewers has been stellar. Arch Manning has been stellar. Quinn Ewers himself, 71.4% of his passes completed, throwing for over 322 a game, 3.5 touchdowns. His experience, his leadership will be vital. Getting some rest after some injuries, I think he'll be back and good to go. On the Oklahoma side of the ball, the Sooners, meanwhile, averaging 28.6 points per game, 297 total yards. Their offense definitely struggling at times, especially in the passing game, where they're averaging just 169.2 yards per game. Dylan Gabriel departs last year. He was instrumental in that win over Texas. Oklahoma now turns to freshman quarterback Michael Hawkins Jr. Dynamic runner, stellar athlete, shows some sparks, but still developing as a passer. Let's talk some of these offensive stats real quick. Texas EPA per play, 0.4 versus Oklahoma, 0.08. Huge disparity here in the offenses, both in terms of efficiency and success rate and explosives. Okay. Texas success rate, 52.3%. Oklahoma, 33.5. Texas EPA on explosives, 1.33. Oklahoma, 1.4. Open field yards for these offenses, Texas, 239. Oklahoma, 212. Let's peep the defenses. Longhorns do have one of the nation's top defenses. They're second nationally in scoring defense, just 7 points per game. They're giving up only 228 yards a game. Very, very stingy in the passing game, 121.6 passing yards, 106 rushing yards on average. This is a very, very disciplined defense, as well as an aggressive defense. And they're going to make it really, really difficult no matter who's at quarterback on the other side of the ball. In this case, Michael Hawkins Jr. Let's talk Sooners defense. Solid unit, 19th in the country in terms of scoring defense, 16 points per game, 324 total yards per game. Very, very good against the run, solid against the run, giving up just 105.5 rushing yards per game. Danny Stutzman, standout linebacker there. They are going to need to be at their absolute best to contain this Texas offense. As efficient as they are, as explosive as they are, it is going to take a complete game from the Oklahoma defense. Let's talk defensive statistics here. For Texas first, defensive success rate 33.1% compared to Oklahoma at 35.3. You want that number to trend lower. That is effectively what these defenses are holding opposing offenses to. So you want offensive success rate to be as high as possible. You want defensive success rate to be as low as possible because that means they are preventing opposing offensive success rate. Stuff rate, that is plays stopped at or behind the line of scrimmage. Texas has a stuff rate of 20.5%. Oklahoma, 20%. Very, very balanced here. Defensive open field yards allowed. Both of these units very disciplined as well. Good in coverage. Texas, 66 open field yards allowed. Oklahoma, 78. Havoc rate, that is pass breakups, fumbles forced, sacks, etc. That is essentially a measure of how disruptive your defense is. Texas, 21.5%. Oklahoma, 20.3%. So both of these defenses, good at limiting the run, good at limiting opposing offenses, disciplined in the open field, disciplined on assignments, and a decent potential to be disruptive here. So here's some key matchups that I've got my eye on in a general sense, okay? Quinn Ewers versus Oklahoma secondary. Ewers is very accurate. He's very efficient. Can this Oklahoma secondary disrupt his rhythm and force some turnovers? On the other side of that, I'd love to see what Michael Hawkins Jr. is going to do against this Texas defense. He's a threat on the ground. Texas is going to need to contain his running ability. I think they can do that and force him to beat them with his arm. Say, if you're going to beat us, you're not going to beat us pulling it and running it. You're going to have to beat us down the field. Third, I want to see Texas's receivers versus Oklahoma's DBs. With players like Xavier Worthy, Texas is going to be able to stretch the field. Oklahoma DBs are going to have their hands full. I want to see, can they hold up? And then finally, with any SEC game, what is going to happen in the trenches? Okay, what's that battle in the trenches going to look like? Games are won or lost in the SEC at the line of scrimmage. Both teams need really, really good offensive line play to compete with these defenses. Let's look a little bit at like coaching strategy here. I know Sarkisian is going to have his team laser focused. A disappointing loss to Oklahoma last year. Texas is out for revenge. They're the better team this year in every way. So I think Sark's offensive mind versus the defensive mind of Brent Venables is going to be a fascinating chess match here. I know Texas wants to keep the team like grounded, focused, treat every game as a stepping stone to that ultimate goal, which is the college football playoff and a national championship. They're not just thinking CFP, they're thinking NATTY, natty. Brent Venables knows his team is the underdog in this game. But they can use that to their advantage, okay? Less pressure, more to gain. Sooners can play loose. Sooners can play aggressive. You got to throw the kitchen sink at them here on offense. So let it rip, man. Let it fly. Do not hold anything back. Mentioned Venables, defensive guru. I know his game plan is going to be to slow down that really, really explosive, efficient, high-powered Texas offense. That's going to be critical. Okay. So what are some possible scenarios, right? How does this play out? If Texas is firing on all cylinders, right? They're banging on all four. With Quinn Ewers back there, I think the Longhorns could easily get out ahead of the Sooners here, especially if they establish the run game early and get that going. And it could be a long day for Oklahoma. It could be a long day for that defense. If Oklahoma's defense steps up, Danny Stutzman has a good game, do what we know he's capable of. If they can pressure Ewers, force mistakes, maybe they can keep this game close, right? You still want this to be a game in the third quarter, in the fourth quarter. Want to see what Michael Hawkins Jr. is going to do. His ability to make plays with his legs, that's the wild card. If he can keep Texas's defense off balance, connect on key passes, Oklahoma has a shot, man. They do. Their health at the wide receiver position is a concern. They've got some key players out. Nick Anderson, the Anthony guy, that could limit some of their offensive options. This game, I don't know what the current number is. My number for this game, as I was prepping here, was 15. So Longhorns are the favorite, but as we all know, rivalry games like this one can often go against the grain. Neutral site game at the Cotton Bowl in Dallas. It adds a really nice layer of intrigue here. So here's what to watch for. Quinn Ewers' health and performance, coming off some rest. Will he be sharp and ready to go? Michael Hawkins Jr.'s development. Is he ready to handle the pressure of such a big game against a top-tier defense? Really a well-rounded team. The emotional intensity. Rivalry games are unpredictable. Which team will channel that energy positively, and which might let some of those emotions lead to costly mistakes? How will Sarkisian and Venables adapt their game plans as the game maybe unfolds in a way different than what was expected? Betting on a spread this big is always tough, especially in a rivalry game like the Red River rivalry. I don't know if Texas covers the 15. This could kind of end up like the slow crushing, like hydraulic press as it squeezes the last scrap of metal out of the car in the junkyard. Texas could just slowly grind this one out. It could be a 10-point win. They may jump out to a 15 or 20-point lead. Similar game script to what happened versus Tennessee and Oklahoma, right? You jump out to a lead, then you just let your defense squeeze the life out of that Oklahoma offense and just sit back and kind of cruise to the victory. So will Texas cover the 15? Don't know. Don't know that I'd bet on that, but I would bet on Texas to win outright. So I want to hear from you. Who do you think will win this year's Red River rivalry showdown? Let me know what you think in the comments. Will Oklahoma pull off the upset, or will Texas affirm their dominance and continue that march toward the college football playoff? Guys, check out my other Week 7 previews. We've got Tennessee, Florida. We've also got Ole Miss headed to Death Valley to face LSU, another ranked SEC matchup there. I will catch you all on the recap next week. Peace.